everybody. Welcome back to Recurrent, and I hope you're keeping warm. We are here to demystify all the jargon and technology that powers electric cars and answer your important questions. I'm Liz, and I'm here today to talk about everybody's favorite topic: how do EVs do in the cold? So if you've heard that EVs lose range in the winter, it's true, but it is not as bad as people think. In this video, we're going to break down how much range loss you can expect, how heat pumps are fighting the good fight when it comes to EV range, and tips to help your winter driving easy and stress-free. Okay, let's start with the biggest question that we get. And do EVs lose range in the winter? Yes, they absolutely do. So do gas cars. We just don't like to think about it. Now, the good news is that EVs are not losing 50 or 60% of their range. On average, we're looking at a 20% range loss at freezing. So if you usually get 300 miles, at freezing temperatures, you'll get 240 miles. If you usually get 200 miles, you'll get 160 at freezing. But this will vary based on your car's make and model and how cold it is. Some models only lose 15%, and some lose as much as 40%. And remember that the colder it is, the more range you will lose. Okay, so why does this happen? There are two main reasons. One, lithium-ion batteries prefer mild temperatures. When it's really cold, the chemical reactions that power your battery slow down, reducing how much power you can access. Now, number two is the real reason that you see so much range loss, and it's that it takes a lot of energy to keep you and your passengers warm in the cabin of the car. Now, in a gas-powered car, heating is free. If you've ever put your hand on the hood of a gas car after it stops driving, you'll notice that it's really hot. That's because gas engines are inefficient and produce a lot of waste heat. In the winter, you can take that heat and blow it into the cabin to keep everybody warm. Now, on the other hand, electric motors are super efficient and they don't produce a lot of waste heat. That means in order to keep you warm in the winter, the car has to make its own heat, and it uses the battery to do that. Now, how do EVs generate their own heat? There are two different ways. One is like the baseboard in your house. It's called a resistive heater, and it creates heat from energy. The second way is called a heat pump, and this is a technology that's really making winter range not such a big deal anymore. So heat pumps are a total game changer. Here's what happened. EV makers realized that winter range was a big deal for a lot of drivers, especially in colder climates, so they looked for solutions. Heat pumps have been around for a long time, and a lot of modern EVs now come with them standard or as an option. And this is great news because cars with heat pumps lose, on average, only 17% of their range when it's freezing, as opposed to 25% for cars without heat pumps. How is this possible? Heat pumps are just more energy efficient. They use 3 to 4 times less energy to heat the cabin, which means less range loss and more driving for you. Now, it's worth a note that when it falls below freezing, heat pumps do become less efficient, but they still beat resistance heaters until you get down to around 10 degrees Fahrenheit, which is really cold. And at that point, their efficiency is on par with resistance heaters. It's not worse. Okay, whether or not your car has a heat pump, Recurrent has some great tips for you to help make winter driving less stressful and more rangeful. Number one, precondition your car. And this one is really important. Now, if it's 20 degrees out and you want your car to be 70 degrees, it's going to take a lot of energy to heat the car up. So we recommend using the energy from your charger rather than from your battery to heat the car up. On almost all EVs, you can precondition your car using your phone app or a remote start. And that way, not only do you preserve your battery for range, but you get to get into a nice toasty warm car. When it's 20 degrees out, that's a really big plus. Okay, second, once your car is nice and toasty and you're on your way, turn the heat down and put on your seat warmers and your steering wheel heaters. These use a fraction of the energy and help preserve your range. Finally, when possible, leave your EV stored, plugged in, with a maximum charge of 70 or 80% set. That way, if your car needs to keep the battery warm, it will use energy from the charger and not from the battery. Okay, there's one last myth that we need to bust here, and that is if you get stuck in a snowstorm or your car breaks down on a snowy day in an EV, you're gonna freeze. It turns out that electric cars are actually really efficient at keeping you warm. So let's break it down. Say you're on the road and your battery is at 50%, and on average, let's say it's like 30 kilowatt hours. You could run a heated seat, which uses around 50 watts for 600 hours. That's more than 20 days. It'll be spring by the time your battery dies. Of course, even if you were using things like, your heater and the radio and charging your phone, you would still have plenty of battery to spare. Someone recently did a test and they left their Tesla Model 3 running in negative 18 Fahrenheit weather, super cold weather. They left it running with the heat on for 12 hours. It only used 36% of the battery. In a real emergency, you could absolutely conserve power by putting on the seat heaters and turning off the radio and any non-essential systems while you wait for help to arrive. But in short, EVs are actually a great place to stay warm if you're in an emergency. All right, let's wrap this up with our takeaways. Yes, EVs do lose range in the cold, but on average, at freezing, they only lose 20%. Number 2, heat pumps actually make a really big difference and they can cut your range loss by 50%. Their benefits do decrease as the temperatures drop, but they are more efficient, even down to 10 degrees Fahrenheit. Number 3, if you're worried about your range in the winter, precondition your car. Not only does this preserve your range for driving, but it means you're getting into a nice toasty car. Once you're in there, turn down the heat and use your seat warmers and your steering wheel heaters. Thanks so much, everybody. I hope that this video was helpful and eased some of your worries. Please like and share and subscribe. And if you have any questions, drop them into the comments below. Stay warm and hopefully it'll be spring soon.